There are 4 papal basilicas in Rome. Aside from St. Peter's, obviously, the other 3 are St. John Lateran, Santa Maria Maggiore, and this one, St. Paul outside the walls. That means all 4 are technically extraterritorial, even if they're on Italian soil. The entrance isn't here on Via Ostiense. It's a couple of 100 meters west towards the Tiber, where one finds the famous portico with the statue of St. Paul, here seen from the back. Its splendid interior was rebuilt in the first half of the 19th century after a devastating fire in 1823. Despite the grandeur of the basilica, however, the chief reason for my visit was the cloister, built in the early decades of the 13th century. One of the most beautiful cloisters in Italy, in a country with many entries in that category, the stonework of the columns was crafted by the Cosmati and Vassaletto, 2 families of Roman marble workers active in the 12th and 13th centuries. The elaborate intricacies of the columns, the variations in the forms, the mosaics, entrancing, and one of the most rewarding aspects of my visit to Rome, and the absolute priority for me among sacred venues on this trip. For the most part, barring the passing of a custodian who surprised me, I was alone, surveying the beauty and enjoying the tranquility. A short walk from the basilica to the eponymous metro stop, and from there, one stop north on Line B to Garbatella, and then another short walk to the neighborhood of Garbatella itself. Planned immediately after the First World War, when a canal was to be constructed from this area out to the coast at Ostia, the new neighborhood was to house the future port workers. The canal never got built, but the houses were built, and the neighborhood became very popular. It's easy to see why. Quiet streets, no traffic, trees everywhere. It's said to be the favorite Roman quarter of Nanni Moretti, one of my preferred Italian film directors, and it has featured in at least one of his films, as well as been the backdrop for many other films and TV series. The historical background of a port context may explain the name of the street Via Obizzo Guidotti, where that person is described on the sign as a writer on naval matters. Although I enjoyed wandering around, my actual goal was the restaurant Tanto Pe Magna, whose name in a very crude English translation might be rendered just feeling like eating. If there are any Romans or Anglophones who've lived in Rome for a long time watching this with better translation suggestions, please leave a comment. Celebrated throughout the city as a place with authentic Roman cuisine without any sort of fashionable frills, I was lucky to get a table outside and took a look at the menu. An immediate choice for antipasto, the deep-fried artichokes. A traditional dish in Rome, but an absolute luxury for me, an artichoke worshipper. The young server seemed almost amused by my rapturous praise for the dish after I'd finished it. Homemade fettuccine with slow-cooked broccoli, salsiccia, and pecorino followed. A delicious and hearty dish in a very generous portion, and I was glad I had decided to skip a secondo. I had a lot of walking planned after lunch. I did have a dolce, however. A pasticciotto leccese, another traditional dish, this time, strictly speaking, from Puglia. An oval short-crust tart filled with pastry cream, and, in this case, there was also a center of amarena, or sour cherry, jam. Very contented and well fortified, I was ready for my planned afternoon museum visit in the northern quarter of Flaminio.